Today I'm going to put a new ring gear on this flywheel. The flywheel is off a Classic Mini. It's just like any other flywheel. It's got the ring gear that sits on the outside of it, and we need to remove that to put the new one on. The reason we're doing that is because all the teeth are bashed on the end. You can see they're really badly marked where the bendix of the starters have been coming into it and hitting it. This is the new ring gear that we've got that we're going to put on it. The ring gear has to go the right way around. There's only one way you can put it on, and the way that you put it on is the bevel on the teeth face the bendix, but I'll go into that in a minute later on. First thing I've got to do is take the ring gear off the flywheel. The ring gear, you'll notice, don't let it put you off. If you look on the ring gear, you'll find that it only wears extremely so in two opposite places. If it's a 4-cylinder engine, it'll only wear in two places, because when the piston comes to top dead center and comes to compression, that's when the engine stops. When you turn it off, it just keeps spinning until it comes up to compression. So it'll keep stopping on the compression stroke. So on a 4-cylinder it'll stop in two separate places. On a 6-cylinder, being a 120 crank, it'll stop in 3 separate places, so it only wears in them places because that's where it is when you turn the key to start the car. Sometimes what people will do, if the starter doesn't engage properly, if you put the car into gear and give it a push and then pull it back into neutral, the starter will engage because you've moved the flywheel around to where the good teeth are. But anyway, main thing is we should change the ring gear. So what I'm going to do first is put it in my vise. On the flywheel itself, the clutch plate runs against the surface, so we want to be careful we don't damage the surface. So I'll put rags in it first. Also, to get it so that I can actually clamp it in the vise properly, I'm going to put a piece of wood on the bottom of my vise to keep it up a bit. And then I'm going to put my flywheel in. I'm going to tighten it up so it's nice and tight. Okay, first we start by removing the ring gear. The way that we need to do this, we need to spring it off because we've got to heat it up to put it back on the flywheel and it shrinks so it's a tight fit. So first thing to do is we cut it with a hacksaw just across the top, making sure that we don't go into the actual flywheel itself. So we just do the ring gear. It'll be a bit hard because the ring gear is actually hardened steel, so it might take a while to get through it. Now you can see I've gone through with the hacksaw. You can see the hacksaw going right down through the ring gear, but I haven't gone into the flywheel. There's a shoulder on the flywheel that the ring gear comes up against, so you try not to go into that too much, if at all. Now once we get to this stage, now we have to whack it and break it apart. So what I need in order to do that is a big cold chisel and a lump hammer, and what I do is put that on there, get a little something to stand on, put that on there, and then I just whack it on the top. Did you see it? Now we've sprung it on the top, we'll just undo the vise a bit. Just lay it on the top of my vise, and I can just knock the ring gear. Will come right off. As you can see, it comes right off the flywheel. You can see the difference in the teeth. This is the one we took off and this is a new one. Both are on the bevel side, but you can see how much this one's bashed compared to this one. Now when we put the bevel on the teeth, have to face the direction that the bendix is coming, which means if it's the old throwing type bendix, this has to be facing the opposite way to where the starter is. But anyway, take notice of the one that you take off and notice which way round it is, and make sure you put the new one on the same way round. But basically this the taper or the marks in the teeth have to face where the bendix is coming from. Okay, so now we're going to warm this up and we're going to put it on our flywheel. Now the best thing is to get everything set up the way you want it before you start. So what I've done, I've put the flywheel facing up the way that the ring gear goes onto it, and I've mounted it on 3 pieces of wood because it's not flat on the bottom. It's pretty solid. My bench is really solid. I have a metal bench, so make sure you're on a solid surface so the flywheel is not going to move around. The next thing I do is get my ring gear, and I put the ring gear on top of my vise, and I put the ring gear the way up that I want it to go onto the flywheel. I don't want to think about this when I'm doing it because I've no time to mess around. So I put it on here the way that when I take it off here I can drop it right on to the flywheel. That's the way we put it. So now I'm going to get my welding bottles, remove all the plastic stuff out of the way. I'm going to heat this up and we're going to drop it onto there. Now we also have some other stuff at hand too. I have a pair of pliers so I can pick the ring gear up, and I've got the welding torch which I'm now going to fire up. Warm the ring gear up, and I don't do it in one place, not a good idea. I warm it up until it's suitably hot, and I keep moving around like that until it warms up. Now the way I know how hot it is, or how hot I want it, I spit on it and see if my spit bounces off it. If it stays on it, it's not hot enough. See, just right off it, so that usually tells me when it's hot enough. I suppose I could use some marker and put on it that would dissolve when it got to the right heat, but I've never done it that way. This is the way I do it. Now from this point on, I'm not going to say nothing because I got to watch what I'm doing. So I'm not going to explain what I'm doing, you're just going to have to follow it. So that's how you put the ring gear on. I'm sorry, I can't mess around and talk. I got to get it on there. As soon as it gets on here, it starts to lose heat immediately because of the mass of the flywheel. So you've got to get it on, no messing around, boom, that's it. So that's how we put the ring gear onto the flywheel. There's a couple of tools that I was using. One's the acetylene torch with a cutting head on it, so I get tons of heat and a big wide flame on it. If you use a propane torch, I'm not sure that would give you enough heat to make the ring gear to expand enough. What some people do is put the flywheel inside a refrigerator in the freezer part of it, as well as heating up the ring gear. I've never tried that because I've never had a fridge in the garage, so that's not something I've done. I've always just heated it up and dropped it on. There's some safety issues as well. You've really got to try not to burn down your garage when you use the welding torches. And obviously it's hot, so if you have any gloves, try and get gloves that don't have holes in them. Because if you touch the hot metal, 9 times out of 10 you touch it with a bit where it's worn, that's why there's a hole there. There's a couple of other issues too. You're supposed to wear safety glasses and all that kind of stuff. Anyway, so be careful when you do it. One of the other things is too, the reason why I was not talking to anyone, like I don't want to talk to nobody when I'm putting this on, is because if you get halfway with it and this cools off, you have to break it like we did with the hacksaw and the chisel, get it off again and start again. You won't be able to bash it on, and you won't be able to heat it up to get it hot enough to expand to go over the flywheel, because the flywheel will swallow all the heat that you could possibly put into it. You cannot get the ring gear red. Do not get it glowing red when you're getting it hot. You only have to get it up to spit temperature that I showed you. So basically that's it. And you need a fairly hefty hammer. No good messing around with a little toy to hit it with. You go with it with a big hammer. So make sure you're on a solid surface. That's about it really. That's it. Okay.